Welcome to the Interview Podcast, the voice of InterCT. InterCT's aim is to help young athletes become excellent individuals through the vehicle of soccer. Love the game, love to learn, and love to compete at InterCT.
Hi, everyone. We are back with another interview podcast. I am your host, Aaron Mazzola, joined by, I guess, another host. I guess we're both hosts in this.
I'll be co-host.
Co-host?
Yeah, you do more for this than I just talk on it.
Tom Robinson. How you doing today, Tom?
Yeah, good, mate. Thank you.
How are your boys doing? How are the Wanderers doing?
Good, mate, actually. The two most informed teams in the League One league that my team plays in is my team was second, and Coach Leon's team is the most informed team at the moment since the new year. So
really, since the new year.
Yeah, and then obviously we don't want to talk about Coach Joel or Coach Steve's fake team. Steve actually had the team, but then he decided to support Chelsea. But
right.
You know, he's one of those. There's lots of them. You've got one in that apartment with you, right? You know what I mean? Just make up the teams you want to support.
Yeah. Born in Wales, Irish guy supporting Manchester United. How does that work?
You know what I mean? I was born in Bolton, support Bolton. I think I'd be kicked out of my family if I didn't. And there were some tough times. I was joking with, I was talking to one of the Union parents, and they was asking me where I was from and trying to understand my team and whatnot. And they was asking me, what was the last game you went to? I said, well, I went home at Christmas to watch a game to take my little boy, but my last game before that was Bayern Munich away. That's how good my team used to be. They tied with Bayern Munich 2-2 in a European game.
What year was that?
It's 12 years ago. I don't know. I was just finishing high school, so it's probably more than 12 years ago.
Wow.
Probably closer to 16 years ago. Yeah, it was good. It was a good time. Got to see Munich for a few days and got to see Bolton tie somehow. It was old because they had like Frank Ribery playing. They had
right,
Kahn in goal.
Years ago.
It was a while ago.
Wow.
But yeah, that was my last away game that I watched. So yeah, how are all the English rejects doing on your team that you've got?
The English rejects. I'll tell you what, Ruben is killing it, man. Ruben is killing it. We won yesterday 3-0 versus Rennes. Now we're in the Europa League. So
there you go.
Forza Milan.
It's not like Chelsea need some good players, right? They could have kept one there.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have the other one? Do you have the centre back as well? Tomori?
Yeah, Fikayo.
Chelsea reject?
Yeah, Fikayo. I think he's still on the national team. I just think he doesn't start though. Fikayo.
He should start over. Maguire, in my opinion. That could be another thing we do in our podcast before the European Championship.
Yeah,
it's our teams. You can adopt Italy. They qualified, right?
No. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, you didn't qualify for the last one, right?
No.
You qualified for this one.
Yes, they did this year by the skin of their teeth, basically. A young squad Italy has.
I'm also, for those parents that are interested, the wait list is officially open for FIFA World Cup tickets.
Yes.
All you got to do is go to the FIFA website, and then you just go onto the wait list. And then once they open the tickets, it's just like a lottery system. And based on where we are, there's a lot of games between Boston, New York, New Jersey, and Philly. So we should have a shot at someone
for that final at
I don't think my bank account could be selected for that.
Start to save now.
Yeah. Also, families do expect a much quieter summer. That summer we will not be doing as many summer camps during that time. So that's your 1 year notice. So 2 year notice. 2 year notice.
2 year. Yeah.
2 year notice.
Well, anyway, this is the interview podcast, and thank you again for tuning in. This is going to be a shorter one. We have some questions to answer, which is a good thing. I think this is one of the first pods where I've actually had questions from parents that we need to answer. So that tells us that y'all are listening and you're confused about certain things or want some more information. And that's ultimately what we want from everybody. So
joked about it, didn't I, on Wednesday in a staff meeting, telling you we're going to get sponsored by somebody soon.
Tom has it set in his mind that Manscaped is gonna sponsor us. Maybe we'll get like Team Viewer on our chest.
That's it. All the football podcasts that I listen to, that's everyone's sponsored by them. So
Manscaped.
yeah.
Maybe we can get start off with a sponsor by L1.
That's it. And if we do, you can shave your beard with the new Manscaped razor. Because
if we get sponsored by Manscaped, I will gladly do a live podcast where I shave my beard.
All right, let's get going.
So before we turn into millionaire subscribers or whatever you say, I don't know the lingo. We have some things to talk about here. First, let's start with the spring schedule. So we have the spring schedule on Sports Engine as of right now. All teams, all coaches should have that training schedule at least uploaded. We are currently working on the game schedule. And that's a little bit more difficult because we have to work with all of the other teams and clubs that are within our leagues. And that isn't always the easiest thing to do. They have moving parts. We have moving parts. Sometimes there's no response. So, thank you for your patience with the game schedule. That should be up fairly soon. And for players and parents that are joining either in the fall or this season now, the premier schedule is a little bit different than the travel schedule. So we don't just play or train on specific days. Whatever, usually our games are on the weekends, Saturday or Sunday. Usually the younger boys will be earlier in the day, but not really, it's not set in stone. It can be moved around. Saturday or Sunday, it doesn't matter. Because I know like certain travel programs only play on, say, Sunday, or they only train on Wednesday or something like that. But the Sports Engine schedule, 99% of the time, is the one that you should look at for updated information on any schedule, really. That's something, it's always updated, it's always checked, it's always looked at by several different coaches. And we had, a meeting with
very lovely lady.
What is it? She's our coordinator.
Yeah, our rep.
Yeah, our representative for Sports Engine. So we got some questions answered that we had, certain tips and tricks that we can use now to make everyone. I
also found it interesting as well, mate, when she said that we're her biggest client on this side of the US.
Yeah.
Which shows you, one, how big we are, how many clubs, how many teams we are, and also how much we use it. I had a question the other week from parents saying, there's a lot of other ways to communicate with parents, different apps, Team Snap, blah, 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 whatever. And the main reason we use Sports Engine is they do everything. Obviously, it has the chat function, it has the schedule, they run our website, and also they work as our third party to help process, the money side of the club. Right. So, that's obviously a big thing. So, yeah, we met with her. Lovely lady. I think it's always good for her to see, the stuff. She came in and saw some of the sessions at All Saints, at Northeast, just to understand how big we are. And then she had another few meetings in the area. So based out of Philly, so she's not too far away. But yeah, no, good to see her. Good to put a face to it. And then obviously, as you build those relationships, if we call her up and was like, hey, can you do this registration for me? Because she was making fun of me for having too many registrations. So I wish you'd told me that before I'd spent all day doing it.
Yeah, Tom was blushing in the corner like, I didn't have to do all of them like that.
Yeah, I didn't have to do 17 registrations for the summer programs. But hey, no, it was good. It was good seeing her. And to what Aaron was saying, if you go on Sports Engine and don't see your practice schedule should be on from now all the way through until mid-June. Reach out to your coach, reach out to them directly, call them out, because it should be on there.
Yep.
So, do that. And that's all the branches. Union might be a little bit different. Steve's got to wait for a few extra things with the town of Milford and whatnot to come through than we have to deal with in the Norwalk side. But, it's they should pretty much have a rough idea. to Aaron's point, game schedule. The game schedule, we have until the 13th of March to finalize it. And then after the 13th of March, you'll start to see those games adding in. I don't want to add them before then because games can change. And I don't want you to be going, hey, we have a game here and then it vanishes. And I know we've mentioned it before, but we will have games spring break week. So if you are away spring break, great. Enjoy where you're going, but we will play. So, just keeping that in mind for those times. So if you are away spring break, go to those dates and start RSVPing so your coach can know. And then it's an opportunity then for kids to play in extra games or, it's for those guys that are still here, you'll be busy, put it that way.
Yeah, definitely. Just a couple quick things. Always look at the location on Sports Engine.
Correct. Yeah.
Because in March, the younger boys, the younger teams are 99-77. Both of their training sessions in March are going to be inside at Northeast Athletic Center, and the 11v11 boys, both of their sessions are going to be outside at All Saints.
And Tomlinson finishes at the end of Feb as well.
Tomlinson Saturdays finishes at the end of February. So always look at the location. They should be updated. They should be on Sports Engine, correct? Any questions, just feel free to, reach out. And, if you have any time sensitive questions or in need of certain information, texting is always the best thing, at least for me. Because as much as we love Sports Engine, doesn't always work 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So
I think it's just keep in mind where and what your coach might be doing, right? I had a few families who would email me at like 10 o'clock on a Saturday. I'm like, I'm not checking my emails at 10 o'clock on a Saturday because I'm on the field. And we might not necessarily respond. You might send us a text message, hey, we're running a few minutes late, whatnot. Yeah. So, and a big one, that's why I like the chat function as buggy and as, temperamental that it can be, the Sports Engine chat. We might not have to answer you. Someone else might have the answer. So if you get to a facility like FSA that has 1,000 fields, you know what I mean? They'll be like, hey, what field are we on? And someone might see that message before one of the coaches. We're on field, whatever. Every group on the boys' side should have me, either Aaron or Anthony, and then your coach. So, for example, the 2014s has me, Aaron, Amade, and Leon on there. So, we try and make sure we're accessible. And then, some people might like a text. My cell phone's insane. So, what I might do is read it in the moment and come back to it down the line. But, like Aaron might get to it straight away. Coach Anthony might prefer phone calls. Just reach out to your coaches, see how they like it, and you can kind of go there. One of the big things I would suggest, though, if you are texting, tell us who you are. Yeah. We have multiple kids with the same name. We don't have everyone's cell phone saved. That's usually how my first text message is. I usually reply, "Who is this?" And I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm not trying to start a fight. I just need to know who I'm talking to so I get you the correct information. But Sports Engine's great. Reach out to your coaches. Check the app. Make sure everything's correct. And then the only changes we might have is once we get past Memorial Weekend, we don't have indoor. So we'll probably bring those guys out outside back at All Saints for the final week and a half of the season, but we'll communicate that much closer to the time.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. So that's our spring schedule. We have a couple tournaments coming up. One of them being the USL tournament, which we had spoken about on the last podcast, so you can give that one a listen. But we also have
busy match as well, though, right? Because we have the icebreaker for the inter-CT select teams.
Yeah.
But then the 2 weeks later, we actually go to Tampa for the USL Cup Academy Cup. So it's March is pretty busy for myself, Aaron, and a few of the other coaches. Some of the regional teams will start playing games. I think we've got games with Chelsea Piers penciled in there as well. And then to round out the month, a big one that we're trying to grow, and the more we keep testing it and the more we keep running it each year, we think we're going to turn it into a legit tournament as we grow, because we're starting to get more interest from other clubs to come and do what we're doing. Is the Jamboree. I spoke with Coach Stephen Bell at Union. He told me this morning we've just confirmed all KMT. So those guys that have not been at KMT, it's like the perfect tournament location. There's 4 7v7 fields. There's 2 9v9s and 2 11v11s. Obviously, we couldn't play that many games at the same time, but in the morning we could get, loads of 7v7 games. In the afternoon we can do more. And so we've got that. We've just confirmed Orange Ave as well. So it's going to be, I want to say it's going to be the final year of the Inter-CT Jamboree. And then next year we want to turn it into the Inter-CT Cup and, run it as a proper tournament for our guys. But this year it's just going to be bringing all the groups together. So if you don't have a league game that weekend, we'll bring in everyone and just play some scrimmages. We're not playing to win. This is an opportunity to say, hey, who can play left back? Who can play right back? If we're playing up against a team who goes direct, who are my players at the back who are composed and can win the ball? If my goalie gets hurt, who can jump in goal? Little things like that. So, it's not one of those that we want to go at it and go, we are playing to win. We're not. We just want to make sure everyone plays, different positions, rotate them, get into the fun of it. So there's going to be ourselves. By Norwalk, I mean ourselves. Union. Who else is coming? Trumbull are sending some teams. Cheshire are sending some teams. CT Rush should have some teams in there as well. And the goal is to do everybody from U8, U9 to U14. So, it's going to be a busy few days for the coaches. And we're going to make the most of it. Last year, I thought it was beneficial. And I do feel like there's room to grow. But one thing that didn't sit right with me is it wasn't really a tournament. So for those guys, I didn't want to say to our 7v7 teams, listen, that Jamboree is your tournament. It didn't really fit. So we will do a tournament as well. Some of the Union teams are going to go to Glastonbury, which they've done previous years. And the Norwalk side, those teams that aren't going to Needham are going to do the Sporting CT side. Main reason me and Steve decided to go to different tournaments is one, it's in the same area pretty much. But I don't really like going to every tournament where we got to go and play the Union team and they've got to play us because we could just do that, inside the local area. So yeah, we're going to do that. So if you want to put it on your calendars as a date to remember, it'll be the 20th and the 21st of April. Main reason we want to give you that date early, as I said, some teams are going to go to Glastonbury. Glastonbury is very well known for having a lot of travel teams at it as the kind of start of the spring event. So keep that in mind that, if you are on an Inter-CT team and you're on those 7v7 teams that aren't going to Needham, then you'll probably be wanting to play with your Inter team that week. My kind of way I've worded it with some of my families is I would love to have you for the 20th, 21st of April, Memorial weekend when we're not here and we're coaching our older teams in Needham. Can you go play with your travel teams there? So more information will be coming regarding that. But yeah, we will have the Jamboree if I give you the dates of that because I have those.
Just going to ask.
Yeah, the Jamboree will be the week before Easter, which will be the 23rd and 24th. Then we have Easter, and then April 6 and 7 will be the first of the season. And then we'll do those tournaments on the 20th and 21st.
Awesome. Yeah, in previous years, I really like the Jamboree because, yes, it is mostly our teams, but it is also nice to, compare and contrast with our other branches. We've expanded even in the 4 years that I've been here. And now we have several different branches that we get to, learn from and compete with and train and compete against now too. So, it's a good way to, I guess, find like a barometer for where everybody is at the club and we all get to grow together. So that's a great thing about the Jamboree. But again, all of this stuff will be, if it's not on the schedule right now, it will be very soon. And like always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, just feel free to, contact us. Now we can move on. Like I said in the beginning here, we have some questions from a parent who is an avid listener, I believe, and just some topics of discussion that we can throw on here. So we spoke about the USL and the pathway in the last podcast, which, if you're listening to this one, the last podcast should have been released on the 16th, so February 16th, which is a Friday. But that's all USL. A lot of that was 20 minutes of USL pathways and player development. For next winter, Tom, what about a question here about more tournaments in the winter? So the tournaments, the registration for the tournaments is all rolled in with the tuition. The tournaments are all paid for, the registration is all paid for. So if we need to go and do some other tournaments, what would we have to do for that? If we wanted to say, the New Jersey Coliseum Cup or whatever that is in Teaneck, would that be feasible for us?
So for me, there's a few things. One, we're a club-centric program. So we want it to be the same no matter what team you're on, what club you play at. We want it to be, you are going to get this. What we've found over the times of doing this is not every team will have enough players to go to a tournament. And then some of these tournaments during the winter don't really accommodate an 11v11 team, right? Our 11v11 teams have anywhere from 18 to 22 players. If we're going to go to a tournament that is 7v7, it's not really meaningful if we take all of our teams. So then it's okay, who do you select to go? So, there's a few ways to look at it. Hey, do we do a registration where people are you interested in this? And then we can set up a registration, we can cover the tournaments, there'll be an additional cost and go down that route. I think the best way to go, and unfortunately this won't be for everybody, but this is what we're trying to do more with the USL, the Inter-CT Talent ID program, where during the winter, during those weekends where we don't have a tournament in the spring or the fall, during the summer, we want to start doing more of that. For our stronger players, because we want to go and test where Inter-CT is against other groups. But I think that's ultimately where we would look to go with that next winter. So next winter, you would probably have your 2 practices with your team. And then if selected and available, we would have you do the whatever we want to call it, the Inter-CT Talent ID program, where you might practice once a week and then go to 2 or 3 tournaments. We were trying to figure out if that was an option. We are in an area where we could make the most of doing a tournament at Jamboree Dome, doing a tournament at Trumbull In Sports, doing the Chelsea Peers League. All things that we've done in the past and considered. But one thing what we didn't like and why we stepped away from it is like, why is that team getting that and this team's not getting this? And so that's where we think we're going to go down the route next year of, if this tournament we're going to on March 3rd successful and over the summer, we plan on growing that program and doing a 4-week program out of Fairfield. I just signed a contract last week for that, because that'll be a nice location for the Norwalk families and the Union families just to come to Fairfield and do sessions, and that'll be boys and girls. I think that's the route we're going to go down as we continue to grow that. We've got this tournament coming up. Then we can see what we can do in the fall and the spring. Then we've got the summer. So I think by next winter, we should have something to do, but I don't think it would be, we're not going to say, hey, the 2016 RL are going doing this tournament, because we just don't know who's available. So it'll probably be more, pick and choose. And again, just the way we are, we'll probably try and keep that as close to cost just to cover tournament entry, insurance, and getting the coaches there. It's not one of those where we'll turn around and say, oh, if you want to do it, it's an extra X amount. It's just, we try and keep it as fair as possible, just cover the coaches' time and expenses, cover the tournament registration, and then, it works out less than like $100 a person to go and do it. If we throw in some extra practices, then it might be different, because for those guys that are interested, renting field space at the moment costs us north of $300 an hour.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So obviously, if we had training sessions in, then obviously we got to cover the expense for that. So hopefully that answers that one, mate.
Yeah, well, and to go along with it, now that we have more of the, I guess, responsibility, or more of like, we're in charge of our own pathways now. The key is consistency.
Correct. Yeah. It's our own thing from U9 to U12. So with those guys, get ready to
the goal now. Now that we're doing our own thing is, we're able to be more consistent with that. From U9 to U12, these are our programs. This is when they're going to run, and we have them on a consistent schedule, so that we are going into next winter, we are able to say, hey, it's going to be once a week, twice a week, whatever it's going to be. These are the tournaments, and we're in. And now we have this clear pathway that we're able to say, oh, you know what? This is something we look forward to, because this is set in stone now. This is what we're working for. This is what we want you guys to get in. Listen, if you're selected, you're selected. If not, there's going to be another one.
Yeah, and I think one thing as well, those invites don't come from me. In previous times, they would come from me, but now with Aaron and Anthony stepping into those new roles, it might be worth VIPing their emails as well, just so that they don't get lost or whatnot. I know a lot of emails come through from Sports Engine, or most people keep an eye out for my name from an email, but now with Aaron being the head of youth development, he's kind of running with the U10, U11 group, and then Coach Anthony's kind of managing the U12s and then the 13s and 14s as they get into the ECRL path.
Anyway, yes, thank you for that, Tom. I'm conscious, because last podcast was a lot about the USL. I just want to be able to answer these questions in a timely manner.
Next one.
Next one. I like the 3 training sessions a week.
That's the question. They like 3 training sessions. Easy. Next one. That was quick.
Prefacing this, the question, a little bit of my perspective on it. As a player, I always had a ball at my feet. Whether I wasn't at training, whether I was at training, I always had a ball at my feet, and I loved training. I played for 3 separate teams during the season, so every day I was training. But in the off season, when I wasn't training 7 days a week or 6 days a week, whatever it was, I always liked training 3 times a week because it's something to look forward to. But on the other hand, we have a question here, Tom. What happens, or what, could it be a possibility of, instead of 2 60-minute sessions and a 90-minute session, could we do 2 90-minute sessions, or 2 90-minute sessions and an hour session, or something like that, or trying to avoid 3 or 4 separate trips to All Saints? Like what would you think about 2 90-minute sessions a week?
For me, it depends which hat I have on. If I've got the dad hat on, I'm 100% all in. You know what I mean? I got to take my little boy twice a week swimming in Ansonia, and I'm like, wow, that drive bores me to death.
Right.
And I go and sit there, but I'm like, if I have my teacher's hat on and my coach's hat on, the reason we do 3, and there is a progression depending on what age group you're in. So if you're in the 7v7 age group, you do 3 1-hour sessions. 9v9, you do 2 1 hours and a 90-minute. When you're in 11v11 pre-high school, it is 2 90 minutes and 1 1-hour session. And when you're in high school, it's 3 90 minutes. So the main reason for that is, as the kids get older, their attention spans are better. What they can process and manage is better. Main reason, speaking about the age groups that I coach, is the reason we go for 3 1-hour sessions is each topic needs to be different. So what I'm not going to achieve the same in 2 sessions that I can achieve in 3 sessions, because I can structure it differently. And usually if you watch anybody who's coaching a 90-minute session, they waste at least 30, 40 minutes just letting them play. So like realistically, like where our sessions, I believe, especially with them being an hour, they're touching the ball a lot. They're invested in the topic. So how I structure mine is Monday, or first day of the practice, or practice 1, is always technical work. Mm-hmm. So no matter, say I have 10 weeks, I'm going to pick 10 different topics, control, dribbling, running with the ball, shielding, shooting, passing, defending, blah, 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 blah. Session 2 is always a principle of play. And I think that's something that myself, Aaron, and Anthony are working on in the background, so that our principles of play are the same for the club, because my principle of play might be different as a coach to Anthony's, who might be different to Ashley's, who might be different to Jean's. But for me here, I'm looking at, how do we react in transition? How do we react defending? How do we create crossing opportunities? My guys on my team know that I'm a big fan of the cutback. So I'll spend a few weeks working on how to do cutbacks. Why do I like cutbacks? I coach U9. They can't head the ball. So there's no point smashing the ball into the box. So can we teach these kids to get to the byline and cut it back? And then final practice for me is my favorite, but also my least favorite at the same time. My last practice is usually my small-sided games. So I usually try and find a drill that gets out the topics that I've worked on for the first 2 sessions. The reason it becomes my most least favorite is I don't really do anything there. It's all on the kids. So I'm just facilitating a drill. The kids are doing the drill. And hopefully in those moments, they're seeing, if I receive on my back foot here, it does this. If we create an overload on the left-hand side, we can get a cutback. So it's pluses and negatives, right? As a dad, totally get it. 2 sessions a week, totally get it. For a club that's trying to go where we're trying to get these kids, those 3 sessions are important. The sessions need to be different every time so these kids can kind of get the repetition of doing the different things. If we go down to 2 90-minute sessions, I know the timing's the same, but the structure and how we put them together doesn't really match up. That's my input as a fellow coach, head of.
Yeah, well, I mean, to go along with, I want to correct you on one thing, because you said, with 90-minute session, you waste some time playing. It's not a waste, right? And you didn't mean to say that either, but
for me, the way I worded that was because in my age group, especially in those scrimmages when we play, some kids touch the ball a lot more than other kids. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like with some kid, it won't be a waste. But, some kid who only touches the ball for, much shorter period, then that's what I was kind of get at with that. But no, I hear what you're saying.
But when you look at the ages and the size of the field, when you have a 90-minute session, you're going to be talking a little bit longer. You're going to, explain certain things, maybe in certain detail. But when they're U8, U9, or U10, you can't explain a whole lot of tactics. So a lot of what they learn is technical repetitions. They work on certain skills. For you just said cutbacks. Maybe you have 1 or 2 sessions a week that's cutbacks, but you can't necessarily coach you can't coach tactics like you would at 11v11. And so a lot of that comes into play when you talk about the session structure and the time. 77, a lot of it is technical. 9v9, you can talk a little bit more about tactics, but tactics really come into play when you're doing, 3 90-minute sessions when they're going into high school. And then you can talk a little bit more in depth about certain things. But yeah, I mean, that's basically why we have those three sessions a week in certain times. And although it is unfortunate, you have to drive to All Saints 3 times a week, and maybe it's a little bit inconvenient, but it is for your child's development. That's purely what it's for.
Yeah, no, I agree. Otherwise we'd just do 1 3-hour session.
Yeah.
So it turns into a camp. So
last one, what can parents do to help? And, we have a lot of very helpful parents in here. And now we have these coordinators for each team. But, from in your words, Tom, what are parents not doing that they can do, or how can they help us coaches and help the club? And I guess players as well. How can they help everyone?
Yeah, for me, 2 ways to look at this again, right? As a father, just support and enjoy. You know what I mean? Just enjoy watching your kids play. I'm at that age now where the first age group of kids that I started to coach when I started to work here are now leaving high school. So I'm already going, wow, that's gone fast to me. So, I'm seeing my little boy grow, and people keep asking me how old he is. I'm like, wow, he's nearly 3 now. And I'm like, that only feels like a few days ago. So enjoy it, enjoy taking him to soccer, enjoy conversations in the car, positive, and enjoy the smell of terrible soccer cleats, because one day they won't be there. You know what I mean? They'll be off doing their own thing. So that's the one thing that I would say on that one. Just enjoy the moment, support them through the lows, support them through the highs. There's going to be both. But then as for like areas and what we can do, for me, the teams that I've always coached have had a strong sideline from the parents. And when the parents are on the same page and they're all supporting each other and they're all backing the club, it's clear to see why the kids are successful on the field. If the sidelines, oh, I'm going to go here, I'm looking at this, I'm doing this program, I don't believe what the coach is doing is correct. That's the funny thing about the game of soccer. There's no right and wrong. You know what I mean? There's no Aaron's way is right, my way is wrong. It's interpretation of how you want it. You know, that's why you have teams like Guardiola, who can win the league playing that style. You have teams Mourinho, who was very, very different when his team won the league. They were a lot more, win 1-0 kind of thing. So, I think it'd be more help us create an environment that matches what people would have in their town, right? Because you look at some of our teams who might have kids from 6 or 7 different towns. So start trying to have it so that they're doing things off the field together during the summer, or go to the beach together. Let's get an event together. My 2015 RL, we threw a little end of season event at one of the family's houses, and it was an amazing. I was there, my wife was there, my little boy was there, all the families was there. Some of the families with all the kids in the program, they was there. And you get to create that community, which was massive when I grew up in as a kid playing. It was like a family away from my family. It was my soccer family, my football family, and then I had my family on the side, which I didn't like spending as much time with as my football family. So I think that's it. If you're looking for actual things to do, recruiting players would be one. If you're on a travel team and there's other good kids, or you're in your town and people see you as somebody who knows the game. Listen, we would love to look at these kids. Obviously, we might not be able to take everyone, because the difference from what they might do in town to what they might do at Inter is different. So player recruitment would be massive. Just promoting the program in general, fundraising, obviously, just to help improve All Saints. All Saints has improved a lot. Charity work. Some teams did a great job for breast cancer in the fall. So things like that. The biggest thing I want our families to do is just enjoy watching their kids play. But if you want to reach out, and then I'm going like if you know anything about marketing, social media, grants and things like that, listen, reach out to me, reach out to Leon and Marty. We'll have conversations to figure out where it is. But, we don't want people coming in thinking, the biggest thing I don't like when I coach against other teams is like 4 parent coaches on the sideline. I was like, it doesn't make any sense to me, because you should be there just to watch your kids. You don't need to get involved with paperwork, right? It's like what we were saying at the beginning, Aaron. The biggest thing that slows us down with scheduling games is waiting for the parent coaches to talk to the coach, talk to the facilities manager, and then schedule the game. Where myself, Aaron, the other coaches, we just take care of that for you guys. So yeah, that's where I am. I listen, anyone who wants to help InterCT is great with me. But on a match day, just enjoy your kids. Watch them, encourage them, praise them, and see where it goes there. And then if you have people who want to be more involved, listen, if we can have 2 team coordinators, on each group, great. We have our coordinator event coming up at Dockside on the end of February, on the 28th. So we bring all our coordinators in, and that's where they get myself, Leon, Marty, I believe Coach Gene's going to be there, and they can just ask us questions. We're going to get them some drinks. We're going to get them some food, just because it's a thank you for. They don't have to give up too much of their time, but just little things, coordinating carpooling,
work, yeah,
making sure tournaments and team dinners. They're the stuff that myself and Aaron and the other guy, we just don't have time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
If we're at a tournament and we're coaching 4 teams, the last thing on our mind is calling up TGI Fridays to book a team dinner in there or something like that. So we are grateful of them. It does really help us, but yeah, ultimately, just enjoy watching. And then if you think, hey, I have something I can help you with away from just the coaching side, no problem. We've had people in the club before that take pictures and can do videos and stuff. Listen, I'll be one of the first people to hold my hand up. Doing things like that is not my strength. So if there's someone can help us there, marketing, we're just really good at coaching. And then if there's something else you can help us with, listen, we're all ears.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. I think, coming from me, and it's not going to be very different from you, Tom. It's, what I'm going to say is, on the sidelines, just, follow the rules, be positive. No coaching on the sideline, encouraging, and, ultimately just trust the process. Trust that we have your kids' best interests in mind. and we're doing the best thing that we possibly can for your kids, for your players, for the team, for the program, and promote the program. Listen to the podcast. If a parent has any questions, I learned this from a podcast. Here, listen to this. This is the time. And then, also just be supportive and positive, and we're doing the best that we can. And, ultimately our end goal is for everyone to just enjoy, because the sport of soccer is for everyone to enjoy, to learn, to grow, to develop. But ultimately that's our end goal as coaches and as a club.
One thing did just pop up. If we do have any parents that are really, really, really good at soccer, our inter-CT men's team that play on Wednesdays might need some help. Right, Coach?
Yep. I'm currently out of shape, and I will be sore for a week and a half after that.
I think what we on a 3-game losing streak,
only,
or what,
only
two
two
losses?
Only two. So we have
So if we've got any healthy parents that can cover some ground, and you want to come to Trumbull in Sports on a Wednesday,
Quinny's got new eyes now, so
no excuses for passing to the wrong team.
Quinny can see everything. Quinny can see into the future now.
I will miss watching Anthony go up for a header and breaking his glasses, though. That was one of my favorite things.
Anyway, thanks for the podcast, Tom. I appreciate it. If you have
just before you let me go, buddy,
yeah.
I know I got to mention it because Leon will get mad at me otherwise. We are trying to do more on social media, especially YouTube, and Leon is working at his week that was, which is more of a quicker version than what me and Aaron do. So obviously, if you have any information on that side of the club that we're trying to grow, the week that was, where it's just feedback on, Union's doing this, Litchfield's doing this, high school's doing this, any information would be great for that. And then please, let us know your questions. I actually enjoyed this. I didn't know the questions beforehand. I know we had questions. I didn't read them just so it can be an honest reply from me. And, I would love it every couple of weeks, Aaron, if we could have just, okay, it's parent question time. That is the episode today.
I agree.
Fire away. And then we can clip it and just upload it to the website part of the Teachables. And it can be like frequently asked questions on the Teachables resources, and you can go that way. So
love it.
Really, really appreciate that. I think the only question I would leave our listeners with is, what would you like for an upload schedule? Because we are going to try and do 2 a week if we can.
Shorter, 20 minutes.
And shorter. I like Friday as an upload because I would listen to the podcast when I'm driving to practice or to my games. I don't know if families, is there another time that you would like it? And obviously we can't say we're going to keep that, but we are interested. If most people say, hey, do Friday and Sunday, we'll look at doing Friday and Sunday. Is it Monday and Thursday? Just show us, because like we said, we want you to listen. So, but that's it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. This was another interview podcast. Thanks, Tom, for joining. And we'll see you all very soon, whether, training or Saturdays or a tournament, or, we'll see everybody around, and hope that everybody stays warm and takes care. All right.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Interview Podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, find us on Facebook and Instagram, and check out our website, www.interctfc.com.